Good afternoon and welcome to the Orange County Funding Corporation
Correct. Finance Committee.
Finance Committee meeting. The time now is 4:04 p.m. Bill, can you do the roll call, please?
Yes, Mark Green,
Present.
Linda Muller,
Here.
Jeffrey Christ,
Here.
Dean Tambury.
Here.
Okay, we have all four of our members here, thank you. For staff, myself, Bill Fioravanti, Kelly Riley, and on Zoom, Marty Barras. We also have Bill Iverson doing our live stream, our general counsel, Lena Sharetta, and our New York State monitor, Brian Sandage. And Shannon Manisi. I like to forget her every time for some reason, so, sorry, Shannon. Shannon,
I don't take it personal.
She's our CFO.
You should,
Our CFO,
Shannon.
Shannon, really?
You should take it personal.
Once is one thing, but twice is
Yes.
unacceptable.
All right,
Right.
notice of this meeting was properly provided.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. We have minutes from last time. I was not here, so I don't feel appropriate to yea or nay, but can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
May I get a second, please?
Second.
Are there any corrections or questions about those? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain, so 3 and 1.
Motion carries.
Fantastic. All right, let's get right into new business, please. Shannon, can you run us down the financials?
Sure. So for the month of January, there was $31,874.33 of interest on maturing CD and $556.40 in just normal expenses for the month. So a net gain of $31,317.93 for January. And if we go to the next page, we'll go over the bank balances. So there was $217,000 in the operating account, and then 1.6 in your 3 CDs. And one of them matures next month. Just keep that in mind.
Sorry, so when she said next page, I believe she meant page 6, talking about the CDs? Okay. And it is that time already, isn't it? When we go to meet, we will meet before.
The day before.
Is that okay, that we talk about that
Yes.
Yeah, because look at the.
next time we meet? Exactly, so can you just make sure that the rate, when you come, that'd be fantastic. All right, I apologize for cutting you off, Shannon.
No, that's okay, I'm done. Now it's to Kelly for the expenses.
I get to say that.
Sorry, I took your thunder.
Right
Taking it back. Right back at you. Come on.
Actually, it doesn't say that on here, but that's, we'll talk about
So
it.
the expenses are, RBT is the normal amount, $350. And, the management fee that's going to the IDA is $8,104. And that's for January.
Fantastic.
And then, the page behind it is the breakdown.
And those expenses are being paid in February because they don't show on January financial.
Yes, because I just got this invoice.
Yep. Makes sense. Just checking.
All right, any questions about our expenses? All right, so can we approve those, right?
Yes.
We can just approve both of those, and then we can get into your authorization.
Right.
We
Correct.
recommend for approval.
Yeah, you're recommending to the full board for approval.
Yes,
I'll
so,
make that motion.
fantastic.
Second.
Well, any questions or discussions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
4 yea, no opposed. All right. You wanna, well,
I can tee it up, whatever you want.
Please.
Yeah. So this is a continuation of our discussion essentially about RAMP, which is our online bill paying platform First of all, it's going very, very well. Marty, you have to admit, right, it's been great so far? Thank you, okay. So, that's real satisfaction for me if our accounts payable person is digging it, so she is. It's been great, it allows me in one place, it comes on my computer as well as an app on my phone. I review the invoices, the actual copies of the invoices are in there, it's really, really great, and I authorize them. I had asked last month, in the chairman's absence, of course, if we could establish some guidelines as to how we want to handle those approvals, because we do have the capability of giving committee members here the app and pushing, bills to you. I was a little concerned about how cumbersome that would be and if it's fair to you as volunteers and the timing and all of that. Well, I was discussing it with Mark after our last meeting, and Mark reminded me, frankly, that not too long ago, this committee authorized me to approve payments up to, I think I had proposed $5,000, but after some discussion, it was $7,500. So Mark correctly said, his understanding was that we're basically paying all our bills, and this committee is reviewing them closely, of course, and approving them after the fact. And as you said, Mark, if there's something that's not done right, or I paid something that I shouldn't have, you guys are gonna address it with me, and if it happens again, then you have to take action, whatever the case may be. But it does allow us to pay everything.
Or if it's over 7,500.
Exactly. So if we continue with that, again, you're seeing all the detail within a month, then it allows us to pay everything that we need to pay, and also avoid late fees between what we're doing with RAMP to close that cycle on paying bills and authorizing me to okay them when they come in. Then I think that's gonna eliminate any issue with late payments and all of that, and it's gonna allow us to be pretty fluid with that. So thought we would revisit it and ask the committee and then ultimately the full board to re-up that authorization to allow us, especially with RAMP, to function smoothly.
I recall the discussion, I'm not sure which month it was last year, but I would like to continue that policy.
Linda, you don't have that in front of you, we just talked about it.
It was
April,
April 2024.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yep.
So it's,
so we're coming on that.
Go ahead.
No, I apologize. So for the April would be the authorized for the 7,500, not for the ramp. We haven't been doing.
No,
the-
No, and you don't need to bless any of that, it's just how it comes through, is through that system, but yeah, it's the authorization for me to okay those bills, approve.
And maybe to mention that, I mean, the cost of this ramp program was like.
There's no cost to
That's
it.
the whole point as well.
If we were, there's one catch, because there's always with these free programs, you upgrade and everything. If we were gonna have more complicated approvals on, say, a vendor by vendor basis, hey, for this vendor, we need 2 approval, then we had to pay extra for that, which we looked into. But with this new format, approach to it, then we don't have to worry about that. But there's no cost to it at all, whereas, Bill.com would have cost us, my estimation was gonna be a few $100s a month on top of it.
And is this an annual reauthorization that we need to do? We can't just make it permanent until we change it?
You should make it every year.
Okay,
Okay.
yep,
Every year.
It's probably prudent to
Yeah.
evaluate,
Mhm.
make sure that it's
Sure.
going the way it's going, that we're not having any snafus, so.
good point.
And just one other item there is, of course, just last month or the month prior, you approved me to pay recurring bills. Do we not need to do that again? This is now the authorization.
You're okay with that?
Right? Even though our rent can exceed $7,500.
Yes.
So that is the one thing. Maybe we keep it in where all recurring bills and everything else up to 7,500. That's the only item that does exceed that,
Can we
besides the management fee.
Put
for
an
OCFC.
exception on that, since it's a very well planned out expected payment.
When we signed the lease, right?
Yeah, that too.
We gotta carve that out, like 75, up to 7,500,
And
as well as
As
rent.
well as the rent, yeah, but then now what's the rent? Because it exceeds what?
It exceeds the 7,500 typically with CAM
Yeah,
and, was that,
And electric.
and electric.
Right, so what's the total when you factor in the lease?
It's different every month, but it's like maybe 7,700 or.
You might as well maybe go to
Okay.
the number to include it all as opposed to carving it out.
Go
I'd rather
to
have you-
8,000
yeah,
or 85?
Yep.
That makes sense.
I think this month is 7,700.
Is it ever above 8,000, Kelly, off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I wanna say no, but I.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
then the
I mean,
one
if-
time it is,
Yes,
Well,
come
do
before
it.
your board.
we'll
for-
do it,
Sure,
but, look, the CFO part of me says, it's always good to pay our bills down the road.
Yeah.
90 days, 120 days down the road, the accounting side of me says I would much rather have our expenses paid appropriately and matched up. So, look, I've said this before, I think 2-3 years ago, we had to do what we had to do. But at this point, you know, you're the CEO, you know, this is your job.
Yeah.
And so we will monitor it every month, but I really don't think we need to approve, you know, printer paper.
Mhm.
So, that's my opinion.
I agree.
So what's the number? I'm sorry.
No, and this is for the, funding corp, right? The funding corp has a
For both.
portion of it, okay.
For both. We're gonna do this in OCIDA as well. I'm looking for both, the board on both sides of the house to approve this
And
one.
also the insurance, I think last month we did the insurance, because the insurance is sometimes over $10,000 on some of their, on one of those policies.
We pay it at once, cause sometimes they're.
One in the beginning of the year, but I thought last month you approved plus insurance or something.
Yeah, we did. It was recurring bills including insurance, yeah.
Well, the one-off, we're just gonna have to, it doesn't sound like it's an every month thing.
No,
It's
it's.
not.
So
once
it's
a
either
year.
quarterly or an annual thing, and when it is, then, you know, frankly, we should be aware of that anyway.
Not to
so.
belabor, but the insurance is just an issue because it just seems to be with certain carriers, they send us a bill and it's due like the next day or 2 days later. That's where we have gotten got
Yes.
jammed up before.
Yeah,
But we have a provision that you can do that.
It's active right now, that's in
So I
place, yes.
wouldn't mess with that. I think the motion was just to reapprove the $7,500 limit.
Yeah, and to increase it to
To
include
cover the rent.
the rent, right.
So to do it at 8,000.
Yeah.
So that probably takes another motion to change that number.
Well,
Right,
you
make a
could-
recommendation here and then you'll do it out
Yeah.
there
Right.
to increase
Yeah,
it.
Kind of reauthorize
So-
it, I think,
Yeah.
a year later.
yeah, okay, sounds good.
So can we get an approval to bring this to the board to raise this to $8,000?
Take the motion first, yeah.
Also move.
Second.
Aye.
Any questions or other comments? None? Okay. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4.
There we go, motion carries. Last item on the list, and this is on OCIDA finance as well, is Shannon sent us an updated letter, just being very clear about what RVT's role is as our external CFO, what's the work that's gonna be done explicitly, and something that we've discussed, I think, for a couple of years, and she didn't add this feed to us last year, but we have talked about it, where RVT does a lot of year-end assistance, helping us prepare for our audit, doing accrual conversions, things like that. So, she is proposing an annual, year-end, one-time fee for the year of $3,000 on top of it.
I do have a question.
Sure.
So on bullet point number 2, it says check preparation on a monthly basis for the IDA and for the funding corp with RAMP. Do we still need that?
It's pretty much eliminated, frankly. We're trying to run everything through RAMP, even, I'm not sure if it's gone through yet, but even the management fee being paid from OCFC to OCIDA, we're trying to do it all through ACH. So, Shannon, last time we asked you when it was a conversation about the checks and savings, I believe your response was that it's hard to calculate, but what about some?
Yeah, because we have still been cutting checks, so this might be the first month that it's not going to be the same as it has been in the past, so I don't know what the time difference is going to be, but I'm also now doing the OCFC and the IDA intercompany loan, or intercompany expenses, which was not part of the original proposal that we had. So any difference is probably gonna even itself out, but I won't know until I at least have a month or two to see the time that is no longer going to cutting the checks, and then we could reevaluate it. But I had prepared this well before RAMP had
Yes,
been in full swing.
for sure,
so.
for sure. Yeah, I've had this since January 1st. So I don't think it's a bullet point on there, what you just described about the management fee work, right? Is it not? A bullet?
The monthly allocation schedule, it is on there now.
Okay,
It's the last
I see
bullet
it.
point.
got it, okay. All right, so maybe when we have a few months through in
Yeah,
ramp,
after we've got a little bit of time to see what not cutting checks saves us, then we can go from there, and if we drop the fee, we drop the fee.
Okay.
It'll just be an addendum.
Okay.
Hey, Marty, since this is kind of your neck of the woods, I know, you kind of gave us a nod and a smile that things are going well with that system. What is your confidence as far as, and again, a rough number of what percentage of checks do you think we're gonna be able to eliminate by using the new process?
I hate math, and math hates me.
That's not what I wanna hear from the woman paying our bills, Marty.
Well, I get to see them in real time, so I'm more of a visual person. I would have to say about 98% of the checks, we won't need 98% of the checks from RBT. The last check, I think, Kelly or Shannon, correct me if I'm wrong, was we needed the $4,000 check for one of the projects, escrow account. That was recently, that was last month, I believe. So we needed to get that from Shannon ASAP to put it into the escrow bank account, and I'll tell you why very briefly. One of the projects sent us a check to put into their escrow account, and I just grabbed the check, took them to the bank, and just put it in the OCIDA checking account. So we had to take that and move it back into where it actually belonged, and we needed Shannon to cut the check like right away.
Okay, so you do think that, it sounds like almost all, unless it's an emergency situation, we should be able to streamline the process.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Shannon, can we give this a month or two and let's see if we're actually gonna make that happen? And hopefully eliminate that process from you?
Sure, I would still recommend leaving it in though, because if you need checks cut, it's still gonna be done through our office unless you wanna bring that in-house.
No, understood. But if it's one check every 6 months, that's a
Right,
different
absolutely, yep.
scenario than where
But
we
I
were.
would suggest just doing an addendum to show that a change in fee as opposed to a whole new engagement letter.
Yep, okay.
Sure.
So,
And there's one other piece to this that Shannon and I just talked about, because it occurred to me this week, that I have sent her, for a couple applications we got for incentives, I've sent her the financials to review, so we have our CFO looking them over. So I had asked her if she wanted to amend this to include that, if there was any price change, and I can let you explain it, Shannon, but basically she said she'd rather charge us hourly because she doesn't know exactly how much time it would take depending upon the project. You wanna add to that, please, Shannon?
Yeah, sure. So Bill asked about adding this into the monthly fee and projecting what it would be for say 4 or 5 projects a year. And my take is that might not be fair to put that fee in and it not be utilized. So everybody has the hopes that you're gonna have that many projects, but what happens if you don't? Then we'd be charging you for services that we're not providing, and I don't feel comfortable doing that, first of all. But second of all, it's kind of hard to tell because each application is gonna be different in size. So if I project it to be 4 hours and it's really only an hour, I'd rather just do a time and whatever it is for each particular project, and those are one-offs, and you might be able to even build that into a chargeback for the project. I mean, that's separate from what Bill and I had talked about, but then it's not part of this monthly, really just CFO work for the bookkeeping and stuff like that. I just didn't think it was fair, but that's my personal take. If you guys feel different, of course we can work something up, but I just didn't think putting a number to something that's so unknown would be fair.
And you would charge us based upon your rates on page 2, right, where you as partner and then any other associate partner, okay.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair.
I like
way to
that.
approach it, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fair, then if we see something that we're not questioning, then we'll ask her.
Right.
paying you less makes me happy, Shannon.
No offense.
I figured it would.
These rates are from last year, or these are increased, or they're,
I don't know if they've increased, but
Those
these are
are
current.
the current rates for this fiscal year.
Right.
We need action on this, I would think, or recommendation.
So that's where I wasn't sure, because we did reappoint, with our reorganization meeting last month, we reappointed them as our external CFO. So this is really just agreeing on the terms of that for the rest
Oh,
of the
okay.
year.
Mhm.
Do you think we need to
I
bless that?
think you're okay.
You can sign it.
Yep,
Good.
All right, nothing to do?
nope, that's everything.
I can do that. Any questions that anyone wants to bring up before we adjourn? All right, then can I get a, for adjournment?
Yes.
Second.
Second, all in, discussion none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Adjourned.